have nightmares of that sound.
I wish I could make it better. I can't even like be able to.
How is it again?
It does, but that's like a Zeratul noise too, right? Like he pulls out the blades, he's like I don't have anything different. I think that might be my fake noise for anything in Heroes.
Let's see if it's your fake noise for going into the Battleground Pool 2. It seems right. It seems right. All right. Tempo Storm banned Battlefield of Eternity, so don't expect them to want to play on that anymore after how their last 2 series went. Warhead Junction, the other ban. We went to Tomb of the Spider Queen, and now B-Step sticking with wanting to have first pick. This is a loser's pick format. So the loser of the last game gets to choose if they want to be first pick or have the Battleground pick. Before, we saw B-Step care more about having Battleground pick, but in this instance, they want to have first pick, so we're going to Cursed Hollow.
Cursed Hollow. It's a pretty fun map, pretty unique. It's one that I would say fits B-Step and their playstyle a little bit more. Tomb of the Spider Queen, maybe not necessarily their forte, so we'll see how this plays out here into this game. The bans are going to be probably a little different. I think maybe some more respect maybe towards the Artanis.
Well, it was Artanis last time too,
and now it's going to be, I think I don't know if it's going to be Ragnaros over Tassadar, to be honest. I can see them banning Tassadar over Ragnaros on this map, but...
Yeah, it is less of a strong battleground for Ragnaros than some other ones. But it is hard to tell. Ragnaros in general just seems to be one that teams have been having trouble dealing with, right? Especially once he gets 13, he's almost unkillable.
Yeah, he's on fire. By the way, Tassadar...
It's too early for this.
Either way, it looks like they seem to kind of agree with that sentiment here, as the Huffer is going to be going over to the Tassadar for now. If that is going to be the Tassadar ban, do you expect the Ragnaros first pick on the side of B-Step?
How much were they playing him? I don't think that they were playing him a ton.
When you say a ton, I think you mean very little, at least in the very first series, and then later on showed a bit of value towards it, but not that much. You're right. They waited a little bit longer than some of the other teams.
Some of the times, though, too, because they were focusing on having map pick and they would ban Medivh because they were up against Team 8, it basically was just a gift. Here, friends, have this Ragnaros that you left.
We can't deal with your Medivh, the fun police, so we, in fact, are going to remove the hero that's on fire and absolutely dominating, it seems like, the world at this point. So I think it should be the Ragnaros route, but if not, what is it?
Last time on Cursed, they were picking Tass. Obviously, that's not the case, not something that's available. I think they like Medivh on this, or not Medivh, Malfurion on this battleground, but, sorry, Brightwing. It's not going to be that. They wouldn't pick Brightwing that early anyway. Ragnaros seems to be a good choice here. Now, what do Tempo Storm pick up? Looking at Cursed before for them, Zeratul and ETC.
Yes, Zeratul has been an insanely high priority hero here for Tempo Storm in this map, but if they do lock in the Zeratul, I would hope to see the Malf over the Zeratul, just the duo, the synergy. Like, Malf is insane in this rotation no matter what, pick-wise, right? Like, universally, a lot of people agree that that is, like, kind of where he belongs. But beyond anything, he synergizes very, very well with the Zeratul, being able to give him the heals over time. But more than anything, the Void Root combo is legitimately almost unavoidable.
This was where, versus Team Freedom, yes, Tempo Storm won, but the struggle was real with their Void Prison.
And Psalm's Voids have not necessarily been, really holding my breath here for them. So I think when looking at that, and how long Tempo Storm's taking, they've got to be considering, is that the route they want to move? They do lock it in, and then it's going to be the Malfurion synergy on top of it. Love the adjustment there coming out from them. Now B-Step has to question which direction they want to move their composition. Is it going to be, are they worried more about a Tyrael route? That's what I want to see from B-Step, to be honest. I would even be comfortable seeing Tyrael in this rotation from them, and then banning out the ETC later on to remove that on the side of Tempo Storm. But we'll figure out where they want to move down. Li Ming's a must, IMO. I think it's just too strong in this map. It's too good in this position. It's pretty responsive to the Zeratul. You aren't considering the Zeratul Malf Li Ming combo that could happen on the back half. It just works to remove that. The question is, what support or warrior do they want to take?
Do they want Zarya here since Tass is gone?
They could.
Like
they could.
Zarya and then a warrior? Zarya
I think if they Zarya, they have to Li Ming. I genuinely think Li Ming is too big here. Li Ming and then what, in my opinion, is the route they're going to go. And you might be right. I think the Zarya would be a reasonable one. And then they still can feel comfortable, you know, with their ban. Can be rather loose with it, if you will. A lot of options there. But either way, we're ticking down. And they go with the ETC over the Li Ming. Interesting choice here. Very heavy front line. Obviously, a lot of survivability coming out for B-Step so far.
I think maybe their thought is if they have a ton of survivability, we already have Rhinoros who can dish out damage. We look for combos more. I'm not sure if they'll want to do Stage Dive or Mosh Pit on this particular Battleground. It is a larger one, so Stage Dive's nice if they want to split Soak, but they have some combos ready for Sulfurous Smash. Tempo Storm, I think it's either going to be a support here that we see or some sort of backline person with them picking up who they really care to have. They're going to pick Brightwing. Okay, so maybe a little bit scared of the Brightwing bombs that B-Step used to run.
Yeah. It could be the B-Step bomb that their B-Step Brightwing.
I like B-Step bomb.
B-Step bomb? I don't know. B-Step bombs would actually be pretty neat, though. If you think about it, just a bunch of B-Steps going everywhere. I don't know.
It doesn't win you the game,
yeah, it doesn't
but
really,
it's pretty.
Yeah, it's but you know, at least you represented yourself and you let your opponent know that I think I'm significantly better than you in the nicest way possible. Either way, B-Step now has to decide what they want to be able to remove. It's probably going to be more in the Warrior route, considering they've already selected theirs, and none exists on the side of Tempo Storm. So is it going to be, do they want to rid of Diablo? Do they want to rid of Tyrael?
It seems Diablo to me.
Yeah, I think that's the route they're going to go because the Zeratul pickup, it makes the most sense. Yeah, it just makes sense to, hey, we would like to not face, you know, the press R composition. It didn't work out very well last time for B-Step either, so it seems like the must ban, but at the same time, I felt that way about Li Ming, and, you know, they right on said, we like the Zarya.
And ETC.
And the ETC.
Diablo's the ban for B-Step, which forces Fury into Tyrael, Johanna.
Which is insanely powerful. Like if
Tyrael,
goodness. I think Tyrael, Li Ming, it would be a solid rotation. I still think the Li Ming would be really huge. They go with the Tychus and the Fawcett instead. Last pick, they can choose the Warrior. So Li Ming is going to make it so ridiculously far down here. Very surprising. I kind of understand it a little bit on Tempo Storm side with 3 healthy bars as big as they were, picked on the side of B-Step, but I can't help feel like she's a little neglected here.
To be fair, she's not doing great in North America.
Yes.
As of the end of yesterday, 28% of 18 games was her win rate. But
Tychus isn't either, though, so I mean,
yeah,
bam!
That's what I was going with.
Is she done better than Tychus?
Tychus is at 22% of 18, so yeah, 1 game more.
So I'm going to say a calculated risk on the Li Ming pick. That's it, right? Or it's the opposite. They're like, no, we know Tychus is actually dead even in skill, so we're going to go with him instead. I like the Falstad pickup with the Zeratul. The boss control they provide, it's absolutely ridiculous, especially if they move into the Tyrael as their last pick. But for B-Step, their backline.
I like that too from Tempo Storm because they are ridding B-Step of possible backliners too. Greymane and the Light Abandoned Snowman.
Is this the Divine Mosh that we've been waiting for? Hello? And the JoJo lock-in as last pick here for Tempo Storm. My goodness.
There was a Divine Storm in EU today.
Don't speak of that, all right? Not EU, just the Divine Storm.
There's so many things we can't speak of.
A little bit, yeah. But no, this is getting a little weird, you know, with the Uther rotation there and the Greymane on top of it, and then the Johanna picked as the solo warrior over the Tyrael. Not that surprising there. Comfort for Fury. You know, it's not necessarily her best map, but I get the thought process there.
Blinds will help a bit too, but it does go back to what we said the storyline of this series would be, which is that adaptation is key between the two of these. They're going to be picking different things, trying to mess with each other a little bit to see who can get this meta figured out because both sides have struggled with it before. And so in this time, we're seeing Tempo Storm try to restrict some of the backliners of B-Step, and that's forced out this Greymane pick, even though we thought it would be Li Ming. Yeah,
it's the Li Ming is... I understand it. Like I said, from the tempo side, I just thought for B-Step, you know, into that squishy heroes that they picked, burst into the Malfurion and into the Zeratul. I like the damage output there. You're going to be able to threaten and remove the synergy. But either way, I think the comps are relatively close, at least when it comes to the draft.
B-Step are ones who can throw off Tempo Storm. They have very flexible members, especially when we look at their damage dealers in particular. So they can bring out picks like Greymane. I mean, Greymane has been one in North America somewhat, but they can continue to bring out different things, trying different things until they help establish what makes NA great again, right? That's their goal.
Yeah. Yeah. And you also, actually, we do, in fact, have the game ready. We're good to go here. Cursed Hollow, game number 2 between B-Step and Tempo Storm. But no, in fact, we were referencing the Greymane. We talked a bit about the Greymane, right? On Tomb of the Spider Queen, Infernal Shrines, everything coming out here.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Flask build, which we already are seeing. And then also, this is one of his better maps. Anywhere where raw skirmishing is going to be the core focus, Greymane, that is where he's going to be thriving.
Yeah, in fact, it was so much so that we used to see double Greymanes on Cursed Hollow specifically with the Greymane Abathur comp. Not the case here. iDream will be playing, that horse.
I mean, we've got to keep our eye on APM this whole game, right? Like,
yeah.
Not only...
Oh, of course, because he's playing Uther.
It's just, he's got to be justified, and a lot of that's going to come down to big plays coming up from iDream. I expect that to be the intention, right, with the Divine Shield in order to be able to make up for it. I get not moving, I don't know, down the Brightwing route. It just seems weird to move as Uther as the response.
Well, they couldn't move the Brightwing route because Brightwing was banned, too.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
So less options, but Rhaegar was still up, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know now if it seems like they can't do Divine Mosh, right? They have to keep Divine Shield up so that iDream can make plays.
Yeah, they do. They need to make plays. It's got to be onto the Mosh. It's got to be onto the Greymane or the Ragnaros in a point where they are having a colossal impact in a positive way for these team fights. We did go into the W there at level 1. Not that uncommon ever since the major adjustments that happened to Uther, pretty much since he was meta, really.
This is what I'm talking about with flexibility, though, too. I expected K1 Pro to be on Zarya, maybe Greymane, but instead Dream's playing Greymane, Max on Zarya, and K1 Pro then is playing Ragnaros.
Welcome to North America. That's all I got to say at this point. It very much feels like everybody's like, hey, who really cares about roles? We're just gonna, let's play some heroes, you know? I heard I'm pretty good at this one. What about you? The only person or only really role that has remained true to itself seems to be the support.
Yeah, and Warrior in the case of B-Step.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's see, looking at some of the talents that we have, you talked about the Radiance build for Uther. Block Party for ETC, so it's going to be whenever Rockstar activates, he can give some stacks of physical armor to his teammates. It'll help a little bit with some of the auto attack focus members of Tempo Storm, especially since we've got a Falstad going into Seasoned Marksman. That seems to be a commonality that's happening a lot with Tempo Storm, Seasoned Marksman on Falstad.
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's surprising to see how much they pick it. They aren't picking it only when, you know, they have a burst and then they need the sustained DPS. They're willing to do that even into, like, with the Tychus, the second time we've seen them move that route.
Right.
And it's worked out for them so far. So we'll see if, again, it's going to have that result into the heavy melees that their opponents have. And Uther being a burst healer, I love going sustained focus, right? He's going to struggle in the long fight. So as long as, you know, Falstad himself isn't risking his positioning and getting one shot, in the long run, they should be successful with that Seasoned Marksman Hammer game build.
They haven't yet picked up a Giant Killer along with it. Oh, first blood of the game for Tempo Storm. Not yet carrying a Giant Killer with it, still caring about getting Tailwind talents, making sure that Cawthon has his abilities up more often with Flow Rider. But you can see that may be something he wants to go into in this game because there is ETC and Zarya as people that they could be trying to bring down in the front.
And we already see that Zarya and Greymane are sticking with Malfurion on the bot where the Giants are pressuring. Falstad's going to be looking to get this channel and will, in fact, get it for free. So a forfeit here for B-Step. And they're going to be looking to send Rag to get rid of those Giants up there. So pretty even here, just a little bit more patient play so far for B-Step, but it was calculated.
Tychus has joined back up in the bottom lane, so 2-1-2, so that Tempo Storm can siege in the top and keep K1 Pro from sieging and stacking, importantly, too.
Yeah, it's denying the stacks is going to be relatively impactful here, and we'll see how that works as the game proceeds to move up there. Zeratul is going to be denying the site on the side of B-Step, and that seems like a subtle play, but my goodness, it can really snowball some scenarios depending on tribute, spawns, the vision control that you have can really limit the decision-making on the side of your opponents. And so we'll see, you know, if he gets that kind of harass continuously into the series. iDream's going to dodge the root, and for now, you know, just throwing out the spells. I just hope that we don't hear as many Zarya grenades as we did last game.
Well, he has started the grenade build, but that really comes into play at level 20 once you get all of the stacks up at once. The 3-man for B-Step did move into the mid, so it took down a tower too, just slowly starting to take structures down, but Tempo Storm has done a great job of counter pushing and making sure they're getting all of the soak that they need to stay actually ahead in experience.
Tempo Storm is very consistent with their game plan on specific maps, and for Curse, it is give up tributes and consistently worry about just delaying as long as you can within a safe area, obviously. Psalm's going to try and get his harass there too, and then send somebody on the opposite side of the map to just split siege as long as possible. Surprised at how continuously successful they managed to be with that, even though it seems like a relatively staple point for them.
Well, their positioning from this is so good. Look at how B-Step are trying to zone people away, but Fury can shield Glare from one side. June was moonfiring, had ETC pushed clear into the vision just to get him out of there. Saw him from another side too, so the setup from Tempo Storm was excellent to be able to delay that for a long time. And that has netted Tempo Storm even further in experience, almost a level ahead of B-Step.
Yeah, on the bottom port, it received so much damage there that it doesn't even have a well, really. APM defense is not the person you want to defend. We've made the comments of you know, how depressing as the solo response defense is on the support. Uther is probably the worst. That W he just sent out, that is his wave clear.
That's it.
That is about it. So it's really hard to be able to get that siege. So a small victory here for Tempo Storm. Consistent decision making for them here, but B-Step is not going to be the one to punish them, at least not today.
And we have to keep our eyes on that bottom lane because that is where the boss from Tempo Storm's side of the map will push. And having that fort low already means that once Tempo Storm can get that boss, it's even more value on top of it.
Yeah, it just really kind of takes a boss usually can be neglected during that second tribute phase, which is going to be coming up relatively quickly here. Typically, you can just take the boss, and it's not too big of a deal. You got front wall up, everything else. But when that's looking at your keep this early on, it suddenly draws a bit more attention here from them. But it looks like Tempo Storm has kept Falstad on top. 10 has been picked up, so Kef knows this is going to be a tough spot to be in. There is the delay, and it looks like B-Step is forfeiting it for now, but they're trying to make it look like they have interest as long as possible.
Yeah, as long as they can maybe get heroic abilities. Grenade misses June. Paddle's trying to zone McIntyre away. He's moving into position for a grenade. It stalls just in time. B-Step are almost there to heroic abilities. Cawthon has to use Gust just to keep iDream and KO and Pro from getting a kill onto him.
That flash so close to be able to confirm the kill there. But either way, the tribute was picked up by Tempo Storm. 10 is now available at 3 versus 3 for this fort. And a complete forfeiture there. Zeratul was not shown onto the map quite yet, so B-Step thought they were outnumbered. In fact, they were okay. Either way, the bottom fort now is going over, as top is the responsive trade for B-Step. They've done a good job.
They have.
Coming it back at, with the decision-making so far on the side of Tempo Storm. And really, okay, well, if you're going to push bottom, we're just going to get on top. We'll sacrifice, we'll make those decisions. And this is that exact boss we were talking about, the prep that Tempo Storm has put into this.
They have a faster rotation, but Ragnaros and Greymane are well on their way to their boss too. Falstad flies in, making sure that Tempo Storm has Gust as available if needed. McIntyre does have expulsions, so they want to set this up right. Psalm has to use Void Prison, and now Odin too, so Tempo Storm are fully committed to this fight.
They will take that. That was 3, 4 heroics? 5 to kill one person. They will take that all day. That is a winning trade because the tribute's now going to spawn. The boss actually is going to be cleared relatively early by the keep front wall. The amount of damage they put is higher than the fort, which, for those who didn't know, and the experience is higher as well, but it's safe enough to be able to let it go in. It's only a 7-minute boss. As long as they can delay long enough for Zarya, Ragnaros is going to conveniently be able to make that a thing. Behold. He just suddenly flings the fire their direction.
I just like it because you're like, as long as they could delay and then it's silent and you just hear, behold! Okay, like, yeah, they have no problem doing that.
He's like, I got you. All right, so Zarya's not going to come into play. I don't see how B-Step loses this fight. In fact, it looks like they are not going to unless they make a major mistake with the heroic advantage. Bottom has got the boss still pressuring in. We'll see what it managed to be able to make happen over time. And there it is, a keep turret. This one's drained. It's going to go down as well.
It will. Zarya is showing up now, but there is a boss up on the top side of B-Step side of the battleground. Unfortunately for B-Step, they're starting to run into the issue where Tempo Storm's consistent split soak has made it just better for them in the experience run. Now it's 2 versus 2 for tributes, but Tempo Storm are going to have their 13 talents with that. At least B-Step didn't run into the situation where they had both of the bosses pushing against them at once, and Giants out on the bottom have weakened the bottom fort too. So B-Step still very much in this game, but the next couple of minutes, the next minutes,
Half season. There's the the teleport out. The body blocking, if you couldn't see the shimmer of him standing still, you definitely see the body block, or at least feel it.
Why can't I move through this?
Yeah, you're like, well, this isn't what's this invisible wall? This is a, I've never seen this shrub.
Yeah, whenever you do that too, you're just like, wait a second.
You're like,
oh no, it's terrible.
Yeah. Especially when there's 2 stealth, that's the worst. Because then you find one, and then you're like, oh, please don't let the other one be here. By the way, Tribute's going to spawn 2-2 when it comes to Trib Cap. 13 talent here, advantage here for Tempo Storm. So it's going to be tough for B-Step to defend, so much so it looks like they are just going to be giving it up here. Psalm, though, in a bad spot, has to teleport out. Curse now in the hands of Tempo.
All right, Tempo Storm has already taken 1 fort down. They want to open up the battleground as much as they can. They're jumping in. Psalm has Void Prison, but APM gets movement speed from K1 Pro to get out.
They have Giants on top. That is insane value in the middle of a curse. Like, maybe even more so than a boss. Because now they can apply that pressure through mid and bottom and put it there, and nobody's going to respond for B-Step. That's your key front wall.
Yeah, this is the kind of play that B-Step was concerned about when they said Tempo Storm know how to play the battleground and play it well. Getting Giants at the same time, so they'll be pushing once they get a curse because they knew they had 13 talent tier advantage. That's just going to go up against the top lane. They get the fort in the mid. There's still a boss available too. The world is Tempo Storm's oyster right now.
Yeah, B-Step needs to hit the 13 and just look to initiate. And there it is, a flask thrown over the wall. They know where they are. We'll see if they look to try and take it. There are 20 seconds still left onto the curse. Top fort, mid fort, and bottom have now been removed. And this 2-level lead is going to put B-Step in a position to where they're going to probably have to wait until they, almost get to 20 before they're on even footing. There will be a small window in that, like 16 to 18 mark where they will have a shot. But other than that, they're going to be a talent tier down almost a majority of the game if they don't take it here.
Wonder what B-Step will do to try to force that fight. Maybe go up to the boss once they clear out these Giants, that is.
Those Giants help that lane so much. It makes me so sad. Because, like, for those who don't know, when you actually have a curse against you, having Giants almost negates it in that lane specifically, which forces the response. So on the opposite side, it's almost the equivalent of, like, doubling the strength of a traditional lane, really. And so now the boss is being postured. 16 is not up yet quite. Oh, Psalm actually got scouted by K1 Pro, checking out that shrub. Everybody making the transition. 16's not up. This might be a shot, but B-Step has to be very careful here.
They do have to be careful, but they're doing what they need to do, which is to find a fight. But K1 Pro is caught. Zoning roots from the backside, forces out Divine Shield. Void Prison on many of the members of B-Step. Here comes the follow-up too from Fury. Tries to pull in, get some of the members of B-Step to get a kill, but no kill just yet for Tempo Storm, and that's good for B-Step that they've been able to force out so many heroic abilities from Tempo. What's bad though is Tempo is getting ever closer to 16 and Falstout's going back down to try to soak it.
Yeah, he's going to be looking to try and get that soak through mid. It won't be enough off of that way, but the next should be probably going to be enough here. So we'll see if they manage to make it happen. As B-Step is just looking to retreat, they know that this boss is not something that appealing for them. And also, have to keep in mind that, yes, K1 Pro got the Divine Shield and was caught out a little bit there, but was not able to hit the Sulfura Smash. That team fight could have been completely different if that was going to end up hitting the connect there.
There's 16 for Tempo Storm. They went back to get their Giants too. If they can get that lane once again pushed, then it might have a better positioning for them to do something like get the boss, or even their own boss if they don't want to go after the top one. But knowing that they have 16 advantage, they don't want to just trade out bosses if they don't have to. They'd rather try to get the boss swing by picking up both.
And there's a tribute on bottom. Falstead's already in position. Now B-Step has to say, do we want to give up the boss or do we want to give up this tribute? Honestly, the tribute is not the direction that, or excuse me, the boss is not a fight that I think B-Step can really allow themselves to be able to take at this point. I really think that they should just be like, all right, we give up this boss, we worry about the tribute. Even giving up the tribute on top of it, just take the 16. Even if you have to sack the boss, it's an easy defensive tool.
Right. By the way, we did have Cothamluck go into Giant Killer instead of getting Flow Rider for the first time. What do you think of that adjustment, especially up versus like ETC if that's their target?
I mean, they have so much of a front line, right? Like the double warrior 3 with very high health pools. I think it makes sense. But either way, we do have the game ready already. I don't know. Either way, we're getting into it.
Yeah, it's a I'm happy with that adjustment too. Giant Killer, of course, doesn't have Flow Rider, but if their concern is, again, Mosh Pit from King Caffeine and they can just take him down quickly, which has worked out for Tempo Storm before. It worked out in the last game whenever they would put focus onto King Caffeine. He generally was the one that they could bring down, if not Leoric. So having Giant Killer will only help with that. Yeah,
and I really like the fact that BSEP was able to back out here. They need to concentrate on that 16th tier. Giving up a tribute doesn't hurt. Neither does the boss early on. Bosses are probably one of the most overhyped, I think, fights or situations in a lot of Heroes of the Storm games, especially solo queue, but even on a competitive level there. The impact they have is only going to draw resources for a short period of time. Now, if your opponent can push with a boss, think twice about it. But if they're just capturing it to remove it from your side, in the end, it's just going to be losing a little bit of experience here. 16 is still not in the reach of B-Step yet, as Tribute's going to be up in 9 seconds. Will this wave provide it for them? No.
Be
but
close.
Mid lane will. If they stop, Ragnaros can make that transition, but they will have nobody in position to be able to buy that delay.
All right, so I think Tempo Storm were starting to maybe head down and think about their own boss clearing out bot, but that changed quickly when the Tribute spawned. Tempo grabs the Tribute, again putting them in a situation where the next Tribute is a curse for either side. 16's here for B-Step. Now Tempo maybe just gets bruisers in their own boss versus...
Okay, so this is actually really interesting. So you start this boss and you just kind of dangle it, and then you wait to see where the tribute spawns is really kind of what you have to do. Because then you either forfeit the boss, or you forfeit the boss and the tribute, depending on the tribute spawn, or you get a double play yourself. Either way, both teams are going to move to the boss, and they know that. So that's why Johanna is looking up their scout trying to fake it. But moving to your boss is the best choice. You just hope the tribute spawns on your half rather than your opponent's side.
Yeah, so you can get the better setup for the tribute fight. Johanna's been pushed away. She's going to go into mid, help along the bruisers, so that there's a couple of different lanes of pressure on B-Step. Tribute spawning very soon. Where will it be? The next tribute equals a curse. B-Step would love that curse so that they can even out some of the damage that's been done to them in this lane in the game. But I don't know where it's going to be.
Kettle is getting rather aggressive. It's going to end up spawning on top, which is going to be in favor of Tempo Storm. But it doesn't look like they care. Both teams are going to be concerned about this giant camp for now. Falset will have the ability to fly up there on the defensive. Everybody should make that transition. And now that 5 men are clearing, actually Falset should try and delay on the cap as long as possible to make sure that they get the most value out of their push. But he's not going to, as it looks like they have already moved into mid. A very quick rotation there for Tempo Storm.
Nobody has defended B-Step's boss up against the keep, but Tempo Storm are going to send back Cawthon to do that now. So that is one less person who can be here for the push initially for Tempo Storm. But if Tempo get into a fight, Falstad, of course, can always fly in.
Yeah, they're trying for it, but whether or not they're going to be able to get it is a different story here. Zeratul is down below. He's going to be able to get a pretty big flank here on B-Step as they are very clumped as well. Throws out the bomb. K1 Pro eating the harass. Not going to get the responsive Q. Falstad now to join. Cattle sitting at 50% HP. Boss on top has now been removed. Giants are negating the curse in the bottom lane. So really, Tempo Storm needs to figure out what they want to do with this, as they have only 30 seconds left here on the curse.
Yeah, the curse has done absolutely nothing for Tempo Storm so far because B-Step got their boss. And like you mentioned, the Giants were good, but now they have sent Zeratul in the bottom. But before anybody from B-Step can realize it, Sam has put some pressure, some damage onto the spot keep. It is so close to being down, while the rest of Tempo Storm continually sieges in the mid.
Yeah, and a lot of the reason this curse hasn't gained them much, again, is going to be the instant cap on the side of Falstad. Rather than considering a more defensive one, you could tell they didn't want to draw that pull, really pull him back, but in the end they felt like it's the safest choice. Sometimes on curse, you don't take the most optimal decision, you take the one that risks nothing. And I felt like that's what we saw out of Tempo Storm there. Either way, McIntyre is in a terrible position. No one is anywhere near saving him. Blessed Shield's going to be used. He goes right down, and Odin is instant the response. This is going to be a keep going over. 20 is not yet available here for Tempo Storm, but pretty close. So my goodness.
Just an Odin and Blessed Shield for a keep and a kill. Caterpillar's got to start scooting on out of the base of B-Step. Would love to get a chance to even up the odds and kills. Tempo Storm just now looking for level 20, as well as maybe even the next time the bosses come up for them to be able to close out this game.
Yeah, this is a tough position to be in for B-Step here. With the keep down on the bottom, they're not close to 20. They're going to have to sacrifice, again, 2 more tributes, most likely. When their opponents have 20 advantage, they're not going to be able to take a fight. And they're finally going to get into a position where they can take a fight, and it's going to be, again, tributes to 2, and they're going to get 20. And if they don't manage to win it, the entire game is going to be really over rather quickly after that point here. As they have, I don't think they've only gotten those 2 tributes the entire game, and they were both given pretty much to them by Tempo Storm.
Yeah, it's 2-4. But B-Step, with their 16 talents, have leveled up quite a lot when you look at their damage. They've got Executioner, and with Uther, who can stun. We've got slows from Expulsion Zone, Zarya, ETC has stuns. Ragnaros has his stun too from Sulfurous Smash. There's the possibility that with one team fight, B-Step could turn this game completely, and with top keep low, that's all they need with long respawn timers. And B-Step have done this before. They have been down an entire game and won one team fight to win the game.
Yeah, and there's going to be a very early multi-core there from K1 Pro trying to just, you know, get off my fort or my keep. I'm going to be able to keep this up a little bit longer, waiting out that 20 false head, pressuring with the Giants on top. We see the Giants on bottom pressuring on the side of B-Step as 19 is going to be picked up. The tributes have taken so long to spawn, though. They will manage to not be in that 2-2, 20 to 19 scenario, which is a huge breath of fresh air for B-Step if they want to have any shot at this game.
50 seconds until both bosses are available again, and B-Step still have a ways until level 20, so this will be the first tribute they have to give up, unless maybe a pick could happen.
Yeah, there's the harass. K1 Pro goes in, trying to get onto Cattle. False Head now barrel rolling over, showing that it is going to be a 5 versus 5. False Head making the transition to get the channel. Nuke coming down, getting the keep very, very low.
Cawthon's doing work for Tempo Storm this game. All right, you guys just hang out here. I'll be back. I'm going to get this tribute. Another keep goes down.
He doesn't even have to team fight. He's like, guys, I got all the map stuff. Like those minions, never mind. Tributes, I got them. I just need you to not die and get a couple of bosses here and there, and I think we'll be good.
Options for B-Step are running out, but they need 20 before they can take one of those.
Boss trade again. This is lethal here for Tempo Storm with their boss. They have so much control for the Siege Core, and there's no response on the side of B-Step. It is 3 seconds too late, maybe even a little bit more than that, as they're going to be able to get onto this Johanna, looking to get the Condemn once more. The zoning roots, the boss slowly ticking away. Will they be able to make it in?
Still have Void Prison. There's no way that B-Step picks that out. Now they have to win the team fight. They have to win the game off of this.
Fury's in a bad spot, but nobody can get to him.
He still has Indestructible too that hasn't even been used, even buying more time. B-Step, knowing that they need a fight, going to regroup around the boss, at least start to put damage down, and then look for a kill on Tempo Storm. They don't have Expulsion Zone, but 20 is here. That's a good start for B-Step.
The Void is going to land. McIntyre's isolated. The root is there as the combo. D-Shield comes out to K1 Pro directly after. No, it is not going to happen there, which means the stun on to June. 1 down, 2 now, as Tempo Storm is in a full control position. That is going to be the mosh pit, the gust interrupt. D-Shield comes out, but the boss stomping down slowly but surely. Full control over this match is going to be Tempo Storm taking this series 2-0.
Ending the game with a team wipe, a boss, and taking down the core is Tempo Storm. 8 kills to 0.
He's back.
B-Step did not get a single kill. 9 kills to 0.
Yeah, that was the most BM thing I've ever seen Jin do in my life. Like, at least you could respect the redemption 1v1, right? Like, you don't come back and be like, give him the 2v2. Uther, and he was already disadvantaged. Like, come on, Jin. You already won the video game. What else do you need?
Apparently, to win that 1v1.
Yeah, you gotta get the Moonfire damage. Pad the stats a little bit there, but, I mean, Tempo Storm had full control of the game, but it just feels like B-Step never, at least in that one specifically, had no moment where they felt like, well, at least they could even try and fight. That last fight, the most panic fight of the game, was really the closest thing we had to a fight the entire match.
Yeah, and that's been our concern for them, for B-Step being able to put themselves in a position where they can win off of team fights. But guys, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we'll see if Tempo Storm can close out